Good morning, App Properties. I'm Amy Corr, and thank you for joining us for another session of Coffee with Kevin and Amy. It's Monday, March 23rd, and a lot has changed as we start this week. We now have a shelter-in-place order through April 7th, and we want to work with you this week to determine how to stay focused, productive, and continue to guide your clients effectively.
That's right. Thanks, Amy. Today we're going to talk about something we actually talked about a week ago, last Monday, and it's about conversations with our sellers and buyers. And the reason being is, as things have changed, as Amy just mentioned, we know we're in a shelter in place. So how does that change the conversation with those that are either buying, looking to buy, listing, or already on the market? So we brought in a special guest today to help us talk through those dialogues.
Hey, Kevin. Hey, Amy.
I want to welcome Thad Wong. He's joining us this morning to help us talk through the dialogues we will continue to be having with our buyers and sellers this week. I know this is a top of mind for so many of us as we start this week out. And hi, Thad. How are you this morning?
Hey, how are you guys? I have my coffee ready to go.
All right. We like it. Great. Well, I want to jump in and start our conversation out this morning, really focused on buyers. Want to talk, there's a lot of conversation that Kevin and I have had over this past week and even this weekend, getting questions from a lot of our agents. And, the first one is, what do we say to a buyer who wants to back out or basically put their search on hold right now?
Well, I think it depends on why they're doing that. If a buyer comes to you and they have lost their job, I think it would be inappropriate to encourage them to still buy a home. Or if something financially has changed in their life where they're no longer going to qualify, I think also at that time it would be difficult. And for those situations, I would not say to them, okay, let's stop. Let's just say, that's okay. Soon you will be on your feet and ready to go again. Be that inspiring partner that they're looking for and maintain a search. Continue to personally reach out to them. Send them a handwritten note thanking them for the time that they spent with you and reaffirming that you're going to continue working for them while they're on pause. But just let them know that, hey, we're going to be doing this again someday. You're going to be all right. You're going to get through this, and we're going to find the best home that we'll be able to find. I mean, just communicate with them in such a way, but it would be inappropriate to say, no, you can do this. Ask someone else. For the buyers that are pressing pause because of the market, saying, okay, I think prices are going to come down. I do not think prices are going to come down significantly. There will be a few challenge sales. There will be a reemergence of some short sales for people who have lost their employment. But you got to remember how inexpensive our market is. We are the most affordably priced major metropolitan market in the country. And we never had an influx of international buyers ever. So our economy is surging our own market. And we have a very, very stable market. And I would show them what's going pending and what's closing in the market that they're looking for. So when people say they want to press pause, oftentimes it's out of fear, okay? And the only way to oftentimes dispel fear is through leadership and positivity, which I hope you're doing, but it's also through facts. So if you start educating them and informing them on the market and what's happening, the fact that listings are going live today while people are in shelter in place, properties are going under contract today, and closings are still happening. The market is still moving. And so if they're concerned primarily about price coming down and they want to press pause, the only way to deflate that is by showing them what is going under contract now. We are literally in shelter in place, and houses are going under contract every single day, albeit significantly fewer, but there is a market and properties are selling. So there is no really good reason to press pause. I think that the people that are waiting for prices to come down will be disappointed, that it's very likely that the property of their dreams is going to go under contract to another buyer and they won't be able to find a replacement for it. We all know that happens in multiple offer situations. When a buyer misses out on that first property, they usually end up paying more for less. So you have that experience as an agent. It's important to spend time and listen closely to the client, but explain to them that we don't anticipate our market being heavily impacted. And really, I've been doing a lot of reading over the past week. There's not a lot of people that believe that this is going to go so far to pull down property prices. Interest rates are going to be low. There's going to be an enormous amount of stimulus coming into the economy. We hope that this current bill can get passed because what's in that bill is funding a lot of small businesses to retain jobs. The whole focus of it is retaining employment, because everyone realizes that the biggest economic problem that's happening from this right now is unemployment. It's not demand, it's not supply, it's not resources, it's unemployment from the short term. So if we can shore up this short term, keep people employed, we'll be just fine. So that was a lot. It was a big answer, but I think the most important thing on how to answer the question is you better listen to it very closely and also see their face and what's bothering them, and really try to address not only the concerns that they're sharing with you openly, but try to address the concerns that you assume might be underlying that they're not sharing with you. But I think at the end of the day, the most important thing you can do is continue to give them facts and information and stay on top of them. So what happens? Some agents just die off and they don't do anything. You need to not be that agent. You need to say, I'm still working for you, whether your search is on or off. I'm still reporting to you information that you otherwise might not have.
That's really great. So in terms of buyers, I think we understand how to address that. Listen, figure out what they might be fearful of or why they're looking to pull back. In terms of sellers, we had a lot of sellers that were either, preparing to list. They had photos shot, they had floor plans done, they were going to list for the spring market, and now they're hesitating. Or we have those that were already on the market. So similarly, what would we say to those sellers who are considering pulling back or pulling off?
Not being on the market right now is probably the worst decision any seller can make. If you're not on the market, you're completely invisible. Buyers are in the market. If anything, they have more time to spend searching on the market. And there are fewer new listings coming online because there are people that are not going through the process of updating their home, getting photographs. And so there's going to be less supply. While buyers that jobs are intact, that they have stable income, they're going to be buying full force once this is over. Right now, you are still getting showings scheduled, right? I mean, you are still seeing market movement. So to those sellers who are thinking about not jumping in after they're completely prepared and ready, you got to let them know that you can't exactly time the minute your property is introduced to the perfect buyer. And what's the perfect buyer? The buyer that's willing to pay the most in the shortest amount of time, or in a closing date that accommodates your seller. So if you're not even on the market, you might miss that buyer. And right now what's getting created is pent-up demand. All these buyers are searching through opportunities online. They're loving them, they're saving them, they're putting a map, they're looking at the walk score, they're looking at the schools, they're dissecting all the information on the properties they like, they're reaching out to listing agents, they're having their broker talk, they're scheduling tours. You're not even available. No one is allowed to get excited about your house unless you're on the market. And you're not like the same as every other listing. It is going to have less traffic right now, true. But when it goes and it slowly starts to go, there are going to be a lot of buyers that need to buy. They want to buy. There are time constraints to buying, remember. There are timelines that people have. If you're not available, you're not going to be one of those houses that's chosen immediately. And sometimes when a buyer has urgency, they have to pay a little bit more, or they have to be more accommodating on a closing date to get the property they want. You want to be the listing that a buyer wants. You cannot be a listing that any buyer wants if you're not even available, if you're completely invisible. Those sellers that are thinking now about not getting things done to prepare to go on the market, it's different for every seller. There will be some sellers that have lost a lot of money in the stock market that need to press pause, that they say, I was going to take some of my savings along with the money that I made on my home, and I was going to buy something new. I need to wait now a couple of years, and that's a different conversation. For those people that don't want to have somebody in their house for video or photography, I think relaying the same importance that we talked about for those that are prepared, and talking about, okay, the importance of getting on the market, and then reassuring them that you can prepare their property safely. And if they are not into that at all, it is better to be on the market with all the information and just a photo of the exterior of the house. That is better than nothing at all. And you can put in the comments, virtual tour, virtual walkthrough, video, additional photography coming. You can even put in the comments, no showings until April 15th. Great, no problem. But you need to see bedrooms, bathrooms, location, facade, minimum requirements. That way you are actually someone's getting excited about your home. Okay, and you're getting that pent up demand. That way, when you are ready to go and schedule showings, you might have 4 or 5 people. Now, you're not going to get them there at the same time anymore, but you're going to space it out and get them in there. but it is the worst time in the market to not be on the market because the traffic we're seeing online is skyrocketed. People have too much time on their hands, and all they're doing, those people that qualify, is looking at real estate and playing online games.
Great. So ultimately, the idea is, for a seller, it's really important to stay the course, because the idea is that right now we're seeing online activity at an all-time high as people are in a shelter in place. And, really kind of focusing on the idea that once we get out of this, ultimately, there's going to be a lot of pent-up buyer demand. And as a seller, you want to be ready to go, and you don't want to be behind the 8 ball. So, I think overall messaging from Thad in this is to really make sure you're continuing to pace your sellers through this and get them ready, because we don't know how long it's going to last, but we really anticipate that the housing market is going to continue through this. So that's what we need to focus on.
And one easy thing is that if a seller is located in, let's say, Wilmette or Hinsdale or Lincoln Park, you can easily show them every single week the number of listings that go live, those that go, what do you say? Those that go live, those that go pending. And
so
those
next question is, what's the, if a property is sitting, is now the right time for a price reduction?
Yes, because here's the deal. If the property was sitting,
but yeah, if a property's sitting, should they consider a price reduction now or wait?
Well, in all reality, if a property over the last 6 weeks had very few showings and had very little online traffic, there is either a price or a quality issue. The property needs to either be updated so you can get the property in line with the price, or the price needs to come down. If the price is coming down, it's far more important to do it now for the same reasons that we're talking about having a property presented online, so that if your property is now at a more attractive price, you can also generate that interest while people are looking at homes. So we can get back to business as usual. More people will be coming to visit your listing.
That's great. And I think, just to reiterate, Amy said it and repeated what you'd said, but I think out of the last 2 things that we talked about, really the most important when we talk about listings is, number one, if you're not on the market, you can't sell. Nobody knows about it. And something really smart and intelligent that you said is, right now, there is no more exciting time for a buyer to see your listing come on the market, really, because there's not a lot of listings coming on. And so the competition is thin, and they're sitting at home waiting for your listing to come on. So I thought that was really great.
And they can only see the outside. How many people do you think are getting in their car to go for a drive because they just got to get out of the house for a minute and driving by a house that just comes on the market? Or if it's in their neighborhood, walking their dog past it and taking a peek at it. It's pretty awesome because it creates that urgency, because they can't get inside right now, possibly, unless you're willing. They actually can, and people are doing showings, but some people are going to be more uncomfortable than others.
All right, cool. So with buyers and sellers, we talked through how to, what they should be doing and how we can guide and advise them. But what would you say to agents right now? What would you say to brokers to be able to prepare when we come out of this? What should they be doing now?
So this is a tough one, because I know people sometimes feel like, for me, I'm oftentimes thinking about business and I'm always driving sales. And that's true, because that's how business operates. And this is a very sensitive time where there's a lot of psychological impact going on all of us, whether we love someone who is sick, whether we are in a vulnerable state, whether we're going stir crazy, whatever the reason, you have those sensitivities. The interesting thing about this is that all of us are dealing with the same obstacle at the same time, and it's the same size. So we all have a different choice in how it's going to impact our future and our business. So when I'm faced with that, me personally, that's a motivator, because it's competition. I'm now in competition with those that are doing the same job that I do. And how can I put myself in a position to grow market share? And number one is communication. Can you imagine right now if this happened and we didn't communicate, that you didn't hear from me, you didn't hear from Mike, you didn't hear from Amy, Kevin, you didn't hear from your managing brokers, you would be lost, right? Everybody looking for a home or selling a home, or anybody in your sphere of influence that has a question in real estate, if you hibernate, they are lost. You've got to be the leader that you want to see in other people. You have to be. And what does that leader do? That leader brings some calm to the storm, brings reassurance. injects positivity and brightness onto a dark day, shows the light at the end of the tunnel, and then creates a path for you to get there. Those are the things you have to do as a leader. So all the things that you need to do for your customers, your existing customers, we've already laid out. Now you're going to say, okay, there's going to be less market. Let's assume when we get back at this, and this would be a correct assumption, that fewer houses are going to sell than we anticipated. So the market's going to decline. All agents will not decline equally. They never do. And so if you want to be one of those agents that don't decline at the same level or actually grows, what do you need to do? Well, everything revolves around marketing. Marketing, coaching, and training. We were on a call yesterday, and I said marketing woven with coaching and training is what's going to bring us out of this storm. So coordinating your marketing plan and doing all the things that you said you never had time to do. We actually have three types of agents. The agents that don't fulfill the minimum requirements, that we're going to try to get to do their minimum requirements. Those agents in the middle that kind of do the minimum requirements, we're going to try to get them to do a couple more things. And those agents that really are focused and really diligent about the growth of their career, that do a lot of things, we're going to try to get them to do even more. So injecting more effort that's going to increase your outreach and your connectivity with more people, showing your leadership and showing your knowledge in the industry and your farm, your personal sphere of influence, whatever it is, increasing that in such a way that's not offensive, okay? You don't want to be celebrating a lot of things right now. What you want to be doing is you want to be nurturing and you want to be informing, okay? We have a cap gift going out. It's, I think, 12 or so individually packed caramel corn. Immediately when this happened, I thought, okay, we need to send something to our customers that's comforting, that's professionally wrapped, that they don't need to worry about, contracting the virus. That's also inexpensive. I went online, found this Harry and David. First, create a partnership with a local popcorn guy. He couldn't fulfill the supply demand. So we went online, found these things, saw that they were on sale, called them, saw that they had a huge supply, created the cap gift, sent it to Andrea. She sent it out yesterday. So now for $25, you can send 12 individually packed caramel corn chocolates just with a click of the button. So now who's gotten a love care package since you've been home? I have gotten nothing. I've never looked at mail in my life, and now I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why do we even have a mailbox? But no one's sending me anything nice. So if all of a sudden I get a package, a care package that's filled with these treats that I can share with my family, where I can just indulge in myself while watching a movie, which we've all watched in the last few days, and it comes from somebody, that's enhancing my relationship, and I like that person more, okay? So you have that side of it, very minimal cost. And there's so many different things you can do, and I'm happy to go through suggestions with people. Agents email me all the time. I was on the phone with the top producer. We came up with a gift he could himself do for 200 customers. But right now, re-engaging with people is more important than ever. If you hibernate and you're invisible, you won't participate in the recovery. If you get out there and you spend 4 hours a day on the growth of your business while you're at home, you'll lead the way.
That's a really great suggestion, a lot of really great points. And so I think what I take from that is really focusing on the relationship. If you focus on the relationship and the people that you've got in your sphere and making sure that you're being authentic, you're listening, and you're caring, that's going to lead you out of this. But it isn't also without focusing on some structure for yourself. To that point, it is a really great time to think about all of the structure you never have time for in crazy day-to-day, right? Think about your marketing, how you're reaching out to your sphere, how am I going to get organized so that as we come out of this, I'm going to be, as a broker, in a better position than when I started. All of those big points. So anything else you want to share?
Thank you, Amy. It's always a pleasure spending time with you and Kevin.